I'm sure you've already heard 100 other YouTubers say that Half-Life Alyx is the best VR game ever. I'm gonna spoil it in this video, so I encourage you to play the game before you watch this. Unless you don't care about spoilers, but to be clear, it does things that no other game in the VR landscape at the time had ever done. This, in tandem with its beautiful graphics, allow Half-Life Alyx to give true fidelity to the organisms of Half-Life. This has given me the opportunity to look at all of these life forms under a biological lens. And so, without any more time wasted, I present to you the most seen faction in Half-Life Alyx, Xen. The Xen are one of the most interesting groups of organisms in all of fiction. It's a group of what may be thousands of different species that, while all being independent organisms that found themselves in the border world, all still form a functioning ecosystem and food chain. In my previous video, there were certain Xen that I did not cover. This video will mostly skim over those that I did cover by only explaining how they are different in Half-Life Alyx, and we'll dive into detail on the ones that I didn't cover by going over their Half-Life 2 and Alyx versions. Also, I won't be covering antlions in this video, as I will dedicate a video to them alone. I will also attempt to address things that I missed in my previous video in this one, specifically about Xen, so stay tuned for that. Also, quick side note, my last video about Half-Life 2 blew up, like seriously blew up, and at the time of writing, I have 1,344 subscribers, and so, if you are a returning viewer, I would like to just thank you for contributing to the success of that video. And if you're new here, I strongly suggest that if you like this video, you go watch the one that I made before this. With that being said, it is time to start our analysis. As we traverse through the dark, damp crevices of City 17, a long, thin line falls from the roof.
Careful of that barnacle, Alyx,
Russell says. This is the first of the Xenian organisms that we encounter on our journey. The Barnacles are completely stationary, bulbous organisms that are essentially just mouths. Barnacles have thin, tongue-like appendages covered in natural adhesive that they can hang down and collapse into their small bodies. They use these surprisingly strong tongues to snatch unaware prey and even larger organisms, such as antlions, humans, or a whole Gordon Freeman with a solid metal HEV suit. Additionally, they have numerous small, sharp teeth to presumably chew any kind of organism that they consume. It can obviously be assumed that they are the natural predators of the headcrabs. This is interesting, as it explains why the presence of barnacles is so obvious. It is likely that they evolved to hunt blind, or mostly blind, organisms on Xen, and on their initial home planet before they were brought to Xen. Barnacles also appear to have the ability to differentiate between organic and inorganic material, likely with some kind of sensory organ or just by touch. This could indicate that the natural adhesive of their tongue is created by microscopic hair-like structures such as those seen on the foot of a gecko. Interestingly, while the barnacles seem to be animal in nature, certain clues indicate that they may be a kind of mold, or at least exhibit the same kind of behavior that allow mold and fungus to reproduce. Barnacles seem to reproduce through spores and transfer through natural processes such as water and air currents.
I've heard they've had trouble with barnacle spores outside the containment area, but not about fellas like this.
These factors indicate that the barnacle is an animal that has shown evolutionary convergence with fungus, or that they are one of the many Xenian molds and fungus that can be seen throughout the quarantine zone and throughout Xen as a whole. As a barnacle lies in wait for its prey, it quickly snatches one in a large congregation of traversing organisms that make their way through the area. These are headcrabs. They are small, parasitoid-like organisms that have the ability to latch on to a humanoid host's head. They achieve this with the multiple appendages across their bodies. Their back legs have significant strength, as they are capable of supporting the headcrab's entire body, along with small pedipalp-like appendages at their front. These legs allow the headcrab to jump up to the height needed to initiate a takeover. Upon doing so, their front legs do the rest of the work needed to correctly position themselves. Once that is done, the headcrab uses its beak, a hidden structure within its primary cavity, to presumably break through the victim's skull and hijack their nervous system. It can be assumed that the original prey of the headcrabs before humans were the vortigaunts, as they open the chest cavity where the vortigaunt's extra arm is. However, before the headcrab's introduction into XEN, we cannot be sure what their original prey was. In Half-Life Alyx, the headcrab appears to be far more slim than the one seen in Half-Life 2. Their legs are far thinner than the legs of those seen in Half-Life 2. This could mean a variety of things. For one, this could just be a difference in outward appearance as a result of different locations. Maybe the headcrabs in the quarantine zone simply look different than the headcrabs in Ravenholm and the other environments that Gordon Freeman traversed through, which would also explain why these headcrabs get ragdolled more often. Additionally, the altered appearance may just be chalked up to a difference in graphics or art style. As we continue to traverse, we find an odd Xenian structure that we can't quite identify. Little did I know at the time, these were the carapaces of the Armored Headcrabs. The Armored Headcrab seems to have accumulated a kind of metallic, bulletproof growth on its back. Where exactly does this growth come from? Well, it seems that this growth may come from the XEN flora, or mold that can be seen throughout the quarantine zone, which is likely why Gordon Freeman never encountered them in Half-Life 2. These growths can be seen in Half-Life Alyx when traversing around the environment. Now, while this development seems to benefit the headcrab, in truth, it may be more of a parasitic relationship. You see, I, and the Half-Life Encyclopedia, believe that this growth serves as a parasite that takes advantage of the headcrab's natural behavior. It likely catches and bonds onto a headcrab by falling on top of it from a roof of some kind. Then the headcrab will continue to do its thing while slightly impaired but also bulletproof, and when it finds hosts as usual, said host may become a catalyst for the spreading of this XEN fungus of sorts. In a way, it's similar to cordyceps, the real-life version I mean, which hijacks ants and turns them into spore-making machines in order to spread itself further. This Xenian fungus runs deep into the headcrab as well, so deep that its underbelly contains an exposed organ, likely being used by the fungus in some way. The armored headcrab on the surface seems like a buffed up headcrab, however it is truly a case of a parasitic organism getting a taste of their own medicine. Amongst the large congregation of headcrabs, there lies an oddly dark and elongated headcrab that lies in wait for the next prey that passes it by. This is a poison headcrab. The poison headcrab is one which has deviated from the standard headcrab's biology. It actually walks on its four legs and its skin is dark in coloration. Now, while I did cover most of the key points of the poison headcrab in my previous video, what I didn't cover was the idea that rather than being an evolution of the original headcrab, the poison headcrab may particularly be a variant that was genetically modified by the Combine. While we don't know how they did this, we can get a pretty good idea of why. The Combine love weaponizing biology, and one of the ways we see them doing this in Half-Life 2 is through headcrab shells, something that poison headcrabs may be genetically designed for. Their more square shape may allow them to be more uniformly packed into headcrab shells or other containers for use in Combine military operations. The difference between poison headcrabs in Half-Life 2 and Half-Life Alyx is not that big. what we notice is a lighter coloration of gray and more pronounced hairs, making them look far more like spines. It can be inferred that all the parts of the Poison Headcrab in Half-Life Alyx serve the same purpose as those in Half-Life 2. As this Poison Headcrab waits for a suitable host, an odd but humanoid figure enters the room. The headcrab attempts to couple with it, but it's no match for the bright green fury of the vortigaunt. These red-eyed humanoids are, by the time of Half-Life Alyx, the only true sentient Xenian organisms that may be encountered. Their skin is greenish-brown in color, and they follow an odd, hunched-back body structure, with their necks pointing downwards from the top of their torsos. Their arms are slim and possess 3 digits at each end, which appear to be claws. Notably, in Half-Life 2, vortigaunts are portrayed with 2 long claws per arm, while in Half-Life Alyx they are shown to have 3 short claws. The center of their torso holds a small third arm, which is assumed to be used for feeding. On their heads, they have 4 bright red eyes, 4 tube-like ears, and downwards-facing mouths with small, sharp teeth. They have digitigrade legs, similar to many Earth mammals and the elites in Halo. Their feet are composed of 3 small, hoof-like structures at the end of each leg. This is another difference from Half-Life 2, where vortigaunts are portrayed as having 1 large hoof at the end of each leg. As for the explanation behind these differences, I really don't know for sure. Although Valve is known to have changed art styles between the Half-Life games, if I were to really assume an explanation, I would of course have to say that these vortigaunts are simply different variations from those seen in Half-Life 1 and 2. But that's only a hypothesis I can make based on very limited information through research. While the vortigaunt's physical biology is quite interesting, their mental psychology is also a key point of intrigue. If you don't already know, vortigaunts are all connected to some kind of invisible force called the vortessence. The vortessence seems to affect and link how every member of the vortigaunt species perceives time and space, making them, as they say, coterminous. A notable demonstration of how this works is in Gary, a vortigaunt with a brain injury. As a result of his presumably debilitating injury, we see that he has difficulty differentiating between what has happened and what will happen.
But the Alyx Vance is honestly very busy saving her dad.
You will not save him. He is dead.
What?
Or he will be.
Is or will be?
Meanwhile, the presumably healthy vortigaunts seem to intentionally modify their language to match the thought process of humans, as seen here when this freed vortigaunt puts emphasis on not.
I can't get into the vault if the substations are still online.
Do not worry, Alyx Vance. They will not be. We will not allow it.
It seems as if the overall reason as to why the vortigaunts refer to humans with a "the" prefix,
The Alyx Vance. You are our friend.
is due to the way they perceive themselves. They see their entire species as one individual organism, as this same vortigaunt refers to all vortigaunts as the vortigaunt.
We have to stop them from killing your friends.
The vortigaunt will extract ourselves and exact our own vengeance.
And so, when referring to humans, they refer to humans as humans perceive themselves, and by extension, how vortigaunts perceive their entire species as an individual organism. To me, this is just brilliant. The fact that Valve put all this effort into the perfection of their story's consistency is just baffling me. This can be seen in Half-Life 2 as well. It allows for me and others to make amazing videos such as this one. The vortigaunt moves on in its journey. On the way, it passes from a room with a weird-looking headcrab in it. However, rather than attempting to couple with the vortigaunt, the thing scuttles away, the vortigaunt never even noticing its presence. This is no headcrab, this is the lightning dog. The lightning dog is an organism that is similar to a headcrab in size. However, it seems to be a completely different kind of organism entirely. The lightning dog is a quadruped with 4 spike legs that they use to scuttle around at high speeds. Between these legs are patagia, membranes of skin that Earth-native animals such as flying squirrels use to glide, something which lightning dogs cannot be observed utilizing to any major extent in combat. It's likely that these membranes are simply to traverse around the diverse environments created by XEN. They have a downwards-facing mouth with rows of tiny sharp teeth, which suggests that they are far diverged from the headcrabs or even modified by the Combine beyond recognition. Their skin seems similar in texture and color to a shark's skin, and it has many bioluminescent spots along its body. Finally, its most apparent physical feature is its long tentacle-like tail, which is used offensively to conduct electricity at its opponents. According to the Half-Life Encyclopedia, the lightning dog's tail has arthropodal ocelli, which are extremely simple photoreceptors that most insects on Earth have. If this is correct, then it would imply that the lightning dog is the only headcrab-like organism with a form of sight, barring the model from Half-Life 1. The lightning dog, as its name suggests, somehow has the ability to interfere with and conduct electricity. This is what I can only assume allows it to take extreme amounts of damage. They take whole shotgun shots and just walk it off. In fact, when they take these shots, it seems to have the ability to fire off a blinding flash of light and a cloud of black smoke, allowing them to scuttle away again. A way that lightning dogs act offensively is by spitting at their opponents. This spit is apparently highly conductive and will stun and damage Alyx and mess with the gravity gloves display when she is hit with this projectile. Another oddity is that, unlike the headcrabs that they share a resemblance with, they seem to have a real sense of self-preservation. Once they have suffered enough trauma, they'll whimper and attempt to escape the player. Good riddance. This is quite unlike most XEN organisms we've seen in most of the Half-Life series, likely because of the widespread blindness that many XEN organisms have. Now, we can't talk about the lightning dog if we don't talk about what gives it its alternate name, the Reviver, and that's their ability to revive dead bodies. Specifically, the dead bodies of a headcrab zombie. Now, these may not be completely dead bodies because we know that headcrabs keep their host alive. Additionally, as we see in this early scene in Half-Life Alyx, these bodies may be partially alive. Now, the lightning dog can enter the ruptured chest cavity of a killed headcrab zombie and reanimate the body, using it for far enhanced electrical conductivity. They'll send strings that conduct electricity along the ground to enemies that oppose them. What this string is exactly is quite the mystery, although it can be assumed that it may be some form of its saliva from earlier. As for how they can interact with electricity, well, upon killing it, it'll drop what can be assumed to be its heart, or a vital organ, and presumably, specifically, the one that gives it its electrical powers. This organ functions as a battery that can be used to activate various Combine battery-powered devices. After killing the lightning dog, we traverse through the various rooms of the Northern Star Hotel. We see countless different organic structures that serve many different functions, which overall serve to create an ecosystem of Xenian Mold. Based on many educated guesses and multiple Half-Life encyclopedia and wiki pages, along with other sources of players theorizing, it can be assumed that the majority of Xen environments seen in Half-Life Alyx and all the other Half-Life games are an amalgamation of Xenian species of fungus, flora, and just generic biomass, which I have decided to just call the Xenian Mold for simplicity. The first two of these three categories are what this final section of this video will be covering. See, the Xenian Mold is composed of many individual organisms, such as the large Xen fungus, otherwise known as the Xen spore, which is a large bulb supported by a few legs. Again, major assumptions. This could be a fungus in the same way that a mushroom is, a large structure of fungus rooted into the ground and likely connected underground to others of its same species. It is likely that these are used to release more spores into the air, spreading the fungus further. In another room, we see an orange mist perfuming the air. As Alyx quickly jumps through it, she begins uncontrollably coughing. Those were the spores of the Xen coffer, a kind of bulbous fungus with several tube-like structures protruding from it. This fungus, as its name suggests, coughs out spores. It can be assumed that this is obviously its main form of reproduction, as is the case with most Earth fungus. Elsewhere, we see what are referred to as the Xen clams, small, mouth-like growths which seem to be a kind of flora or fungus, as they are, well, they're literally just a mouth. This thing is not an animal. The inside of their mouth has something that looks like a kind of eye, but honestly, I'm not sure. It could just have a weird-looking mouth. The most important thing about the Xen clam is the purpose they serve. When you get your hands near them, they snap their two small mouthpieces together. While on the surface you could assume that this would be to defend against small organisms that may feed on them, this couldn't be farther from the case. The Xen clams and coffers seem to be a part of the same fungus or flora, or are a different species that work symbiotically with each other. See, the clams, in truth, loudly snap their jaws together in order to attract living organisms infected with the spores of the Xen coffer. One of these individuals, as you may know, is Jeff. Jeff appears to have been a Combine hazardous material worker who had a breach in his suit and was ultimately infected with the coffer spores. He sports a ruined hazmat suit and has two arms heavily mutated into swollen arms, which likely give him some form of enhanced strength. These growths are synonymous across Jeff's full body, only barring his head. A gruesome sight which is parted in half with small teeth-like structures running along the edges, creating the appearance of a blooming flower. As for how Jeff was infected, well, we don't know. That is to say, we do know that he was infected as a result of the coffer spores, as the same spores can be seen coming from structures on his back. However, we do not fully understand the infection process. It's very clearly not instantaneous, as Alyx can easily be seen being around and breathing the spores. We can only assume that it must have been based on some kind of open wound or extremely prolonged exposure, which would make sense considering Jeff's previous occupation as a hazmat combine. Additionally, some sources and concept art suggest that Jeff is, or was planned, to be conscious in his form, being completely removed from the control of his own body, his brain hijacked by an unthinking fungus. Ultimately, the different species of Xenian Mold in the quarantine zone seem completely distinct from anything we've ever seen before. However, they form a complete ecosystem which can stand the test of time. And so, this concludes my analysis of the Xen organisms seen in Half-Life Alyx, barring only the antlions, who deserve a video of their own. Half-Life Alyx is a beautiful odyssey of emotional twists and turns of a huge variety of 100 other things that make it a great game, things which I surely plan to talk about in future videos. And the fact that a single one of these details, just the biological aspect of this game, can inspire the creation of an entire video is a truly breathtaking achievement of game development. Thank you so much for watching this video, and again, if you enjoyed this one, I strongly recommend that you watch my previous one. It's a much larger undertaking on the biology of a vast majority of the life forms in Half-Life 2. Otherwise, I would encourage you to like and subscribe. You'd be supporting me and you'd get access to even more content like this. With that being said, thanks for watching, and goodbye.